The effectiveness of punishment as a behaviour modification strategy in children has been a widely examined topic in psychology and commonly compared to reinforcement. There has been numerous published research involving a number of different areas of punishment in regards to how effective it is as a method and if the benefit outweighs any negative outcomes. The research paper Reinforcement and Punishment Among Preschoolers, Characteristics, Effects and Correlates by Lamb, Easterbrooks and Holden contained the most detailed and relevant research found surrounding whether or not punishment is an effective behaviour modification technique. It focused purely on children of preschool age when they are most easily influenced. The study was conducted due to a firm belief that there needed to be clarification of the correlation between variables such as age, sex, susceptibility of individuals to peer influence, and punishment. The aim of this chosen study was to examine the effects of different types of punishment and reinforcement, determining which produced a stronger or longer lasting response, and the effect of individual susceptibility to peer pressure, as it was the children who dished out the reinforcements or punishments. Lamb produced two hypotheses, which were one, among younger children around 3 years of age, reinforcements and punishments occur as a consequence of their pursuit, and two, preschool children will terminate their activities more rapidly when their activities are sex inappropriate. These were tested on 49 children who attended the same care facility in either the nursery or kindergarten section and were observed during their free play. The sample consisted of 31 children ranging from 32 to 58 months and 18 children ranging from 58 to 70 months. The children were observed for 12 10-minute blocks of free play over the 9 weeks in which the study was conducted. The observers noted not only how the children played, but also how they responded to peers and sex-typed activities. Types of reinforcement such as praise, joint play, imitation, approval, observation and compliance, alongside punishments such as criticism, diversion, disapproval and disruption, were recorded when used by the children and peers. The study concluded that susceptibility to peer influence did not vary substantially between participants and was relatively consistent, but the age and sex differences between children resulted in differences in the types of punishment and reinforcement used. This study in particular confirmed there is a relationship between the sex appropriateness of an activity and the effectiveness of the peers' response, whether it be a reinforcement or a type of punishment. It also reiterated that age determines the type of punishments and reinforcements administered by young children to one another. It was determined that punished acts were terminated more rapidly than reinforced ones, which was consistent across numerous studies and shows that punishment is an effective way to modify behaviour in children. Although it was established, it was also noted that punishment and reinforcement were differentially effective depending on how gender appropriate the message between peers was conveyed. One limitation of the study was the unpredictable nature of the children's responses, which led to the inability to perform a parallel analysis, as many intentional reinforcements were not used. This was a predictable limitation, as the participants were of such a young age and unaware of the observation. This means further study after this research may have been required for sufficient recordings of the effect of things such as praise and approval, but the simple nature of this observational field study in natural settings meant there were little limitations or variables that affected the results that weren't expected. The paper yields a lot of insight into how punishment is presented and received and its capacity to modify children's behaviour as it tests a number of previously noted variables and also determines whether or not young children do regularly reinforce and punish one another in natural settings rather than in laboratory or studied settings, which previous results are based on. This paper covers punishment as a whole rather than focusing on particular types of punishment such as exclusion or certain techniques required to elicit particular or desired responses. It also uses reinforcement to strengthen the results and show correlation, which many other studies didn't. For example, many focused on techniques such as behavioural parent training to test whether this type of parent-teaching technique used as a form of punishment was effective at modifying behaviour in general, with little comparison and parental bias. The data was effectively calculated in a simple table as shown on the slide, and the researchers took all necessary actions to eliminate bias by conducting the observations of the children by 6 individuals with no relationship to the children or research, whom none of which conducted more than 3 of each specific observation, with things such as social competence or sex-specific play. A total of 71 reliability checks were performed during the course of the data gathering phase. This type of study could be referred to as a case study, as the researchers were observing or investigating the effects of punishment and reinforcement on a group of children and provided qualitative data and results on the topic. It also made appropriate correlations or noted the relationships between variables, for example, sex-appropriate activities, and the effect of punishment. The paper involves background information from previous studies that contained broad data on punishment, which shows the in-depth literature reviews that were performed. It based its grounding of the research and information on the already known nature of children, including the effect of social influence and pressure from peers, parents, and teachers, and the effect of these on young children. This shows that the authors were aware of why the chosen age groups are the most accurate to display the effects of punishment. And although it isn't classed as a recent study, the conclusion and results from this piece are still the present view on punishment. This is a major reason why this article was best suited and closely related to the topic of punishment and behaviour modification in children.